So we're here to talk about hypnosis.
My favorite subject.
It is. It seems to be a subject that you enjoy. At least you enjoy bashing it. I don't have an agenda. I have done some research. I assume you have as well.
Sure.
That's a no.
Well, okay. Okay, right. The thing is that the only research that's out there is people who are doing hypnosis saying it's real. And it's just full of it. So not that I gave away my position already.
Yeah. Let's do this. Let's start with talking about what we mean by hypnosis, because in my experience and my background, I've got a degree in the mental sciences, and by mental I mean psychology. Like, I have been party to a lot of information. And so when you said hypnosis is fake, it kind of seemed like you were speaking relatively specific about stage hypnosis. But then we started talking about everything from medical to marketing. I want to give you the floor. I want you to posit your position about hypnosis, reality and illusion, fake and whatever. I'll give you the floor for that, so I know where we're at, so that we can at least address the same thing, because I could go in a bunch of different directions. So the floor is yours.
Okay. First of all, this does not seem like a fair fight, because you've got a degree in this, and I got nothing. I got nothing other than years more experience in life than you have. Yeah, when I say that I believe that hypnosis is fake, I believe I'm talking about stage hypnosis, the entertainment type of thing. I think it's possible, maybe likely, that hypnotism in a therapy type session might actually be a thing. So I'm not quibbling about that. But the whole grabbing somebody and jerking them around, sleep, and then they slump down, and then it's like, you're a world-class ballerina, dance for us, and they dance and crawl around and stuff, and then afterwards they go to their friends and they say, "What happened? What did I do?" And they say, "Oh, you dance like a ballerina." Oh, no way, no way. That's all fake. It's a lie. I do not believe it in the slightest. What it is, it's a bunch of people on stage who have been given permission to act silly, and it's not their fault. They don't have to feel weird about it because I was hypnotized. So that's my position. And I know there are people out there, I know there are hypnotists who have told me, "I'm full of it. You don't know what you're talking about." But then they would say that, wouldn't they? Because that's their gig. What are they going to do? Say, "Oh, yeah, you're right. It's all fake, but we still get paid for it."
Okay. So, first of all, to level the playing field, I've been drinking, so my youthful years mean nothing. You're winning. All right. So, I guess the first question I want to ask based on that, I mean, it's definitely anecdotal, your stance, right?
Oh, of course. Yes. I would love to be hypnotized.
And so, okay, to that point, so, all right, you said that stage hypnosis, 100% fake, and correct me if I'm wrong, or mostly fake, but there might be some medical stuff. And like, we do have studies from Stanford, and I can pull out the studies if you want, with functional MRI imaging that shows there's a brain state change in medical like, I can provide those studies. So my question to you is, why, depending on how you use it, and we're both magicians, we're both magical entertainers of the magical arts, like, we often have debates, we've been party debates, and we discuss the idea of a disclaimer. If we do mentalism, if we do a mind reading type show or effect, Sometimes we will debate the idea of a disclaimer for the specific purpose of giving the audience our perspective of what we believe. To me, that's almost the same thing. If there's medical and you believe that there's a potential for the medical use of suggestibility versus stage hypnosis, why would there be any version of a difference? It's just different usage. It's like a tool that's just used in a different scenario on a different type of patient, so to speak. Why does the entertainment version have zero credibility with you when there's potential for it to have real world medically backed evidence? How do you distinguish? How do you say that stage hypnosis full of shit? How do you get there knowing that there is other potential?
Trying to think of a good analogy real quick, but I was drinking too earlier, and so it was Diet Coke, but still, I think it's the difference between, well, okay, so let's say you're going to a hypnotist to help you to quit smoking.
Okay.
You go there, they hypnotize you, and you no longer smoke from that moment. Is that what happens, or is there like a process?
It depends. Like from again, I'll own this. This is anecdotal evidence, and I know a couple of hypnotherapists. I know a couple of hypno entertainers, but they all have a program that will help you stop smoking. And there's a variation. Some people can quit cold turkey. If you watch Ron White talks about his thing, he wanted to do ayahuasca, but they said you drink too much, so you got to stop drinking immediately. He went to a hypnotherapist in the guy's garage, and I believe he said in one session he stopped having drinks. He was like, I didn't have the draw. He's been drinking his whole life, and he's an alcoholic by admission. But for him, it was one and done. And then he was able to go and have his ayahuasca ceremony because you have to be a certain level of clean. So there's that. But I've also known that people, like, depending on the individual, it can take a number of sessions, which to me is the degree of suggestibility, which is ultimately where I think with this conversation needs to go. The degree of suggestibility is on a bell curve for humanity. So to answer your question, it depends.
Okay. And I can't think of a good analogy, but the therapy type stuff that I've heard of, there's a difference between you sitting with somebody, talking with somebody, and you up on the stage with a bunch of people in front of a big audience with music going on or whatever else. There's a difference in what your mind takes in. They don't have school classes in the middle of a circus ring. And I know we can go off on a thing there. And they don't do that because you need to be able to focus and pay attention. And you probably don't go get your no smoking and no drinking stuff taken care of on a street corner with the traffic going by and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
I get your point, but I actually know a hypnotist local to our community. He's actually, I'll call him out, Bill Deal, the former owner of Sun Magic. He's now a licensed hypnotherapist. He's also got his PhD in he's a therapist. So I think he's a psychotherapist. I don't know exactly what his PhD, but it's legit from a real university. It's not like anyways. But he actually goes out on the street and helps people with their problems. He does a little bit, it's a street thing, but he will help if you got a smoking issue, whatever, or weight loss or whatever. He does go on the street and do that. And it's, to your point, it's not like, you're right. You don't go up there and hypnotize 100% of the crowd because there is that range of variability of susceptibility. There's the bell curve, meaning the shows I've been to, and I've seen Flip Orley at the Improv in Tempe, Arizona, probably a dozen times. I don't know how many times he's come through, but back in the 90s and 2000s, I went as often as I could go to see him. And he got probably between 10 and 20 people hypnotized every time. But the show held, the auditorium or the theater was filled of 200 plus people. He didn't hypnotize everybody. He got the most susceptible, willing participants. So I guess
willing participants.
Right. But I also have a friend, and in one of those shows we went, he was in your camp. He didn't believe in it. He thought it was bullshit. He was also a little bit of a magician. So smart guy, sold his company to Google. That's how intelligent he was. And by the way, there are studies that show intelligence does not have any correlation to susceptibility. But he got hypnotized in the chair, ended up going up on stage because he was hypnotized in the audience, and he wasn't trying. He just went along with trying to see if he could be hypnotized. And he had the same exact thing. He didn't sit down and go, what happened? He went, yeah, no, that was bullshit. But I would ask him questions and he couldn't respond like, well, why did you do this and this? He had to process, oh, I guess I did that. There was clear, and this was my best friend at the time for a number of years. Like, I know this guy. There was a distinct personality shift. So either he was playing along and fucking with me and himself, because that's not how he behaved. Like, that was 100% out of character, or he was susceptible to a level he wasn't aware of, and it worked. Now, anecdotal, I will admit, but I still stand on the psychological and the physician-based studies that can prove it's a possibility. I still don't understand why you're like, all stage hypnosis can go fuck them. Like, yeah, some people might play along, but why does it? And we could talk about, I'll take it somewhere else, but I'll let you rebut.
I don't have a good rebuttal for that. I just do not believe at all that any of those people up on stage are hypnotized, unless you want to define hypnotized as being willing to go along with what the hypnotist says to do.
Okay.
In that case, then they are hypnotized.
So,
but I don't believe that somebody acts like a chicken or pretends that they're a rock and roll singer or whatever they do, and they haven't agreed with themselves to do that.
Okay. You're using vague enough terms that it's hard to disprove that. It's just fine. I'm going to tell you about another experience when I was doing a magic show. This was 20 some years ago. So I was doing a bar mitzvah, and there was a bunch of teenage kids around, and most of it was, just babysitting teenagers, right? That was fine. I was doing magic, and there was this one kid who was just he was busting my chops. He was just going at it. And he was drinking a can of soda. I think it was a can of Coke. And he was like, well, do this. He was make me a balloon animal clown. Like, he was yelling. He was that kid, right? And he started going off on like hypnosis and like giving me grief. And I have never studied it beyond, bought a couple of courses. I've read through it. I've booked a couple of shows, but partnered with somebody else to do it because I marketed it and I sold it. I'm not going to do but I know enough of the principles, especially hanging out with Kenton for decades. Like, this kid was just busting my chops so much. I just looked at him and like, all right, your hand is stuck to the Coke and your Coke is stuck to the table and you cannot let go. And he was like, ha. And then he looked down at his hand and his eyes got as big as saucers. And he looked at me, and this 13, 14-year-old kid probably shit himself because he could not fathom what he was experiencing. His hand was stuck to the glass or the cup, the can, and the can was stuck to the table, and he was scared shitless. And I then realized, oh my God, I'm doing something that probably isn't okay to this kid. And I said, and as soon as I snap my fingers, you're free. And his hand came up, and he just looked and turned and stunned and walked away. That kid probably either is on crack or a hypnotherapist hypnotherapist himself. I'm sure I changed the course of his life just because the look in his face. I didn't mean to do that to him, but I was just given the moment felt right. I'll say it there. But anecdotally speaking, that changed my perception of all of it. I definitely agree. Some people play along more than others, but I also know some people don't understand the conscious versus the unconscious aspect of the mind, such that they can fathom how you can go around consciousness to tap the subconscious or the unconscious and have that have a real world effect in processing consciously, if that makes sense.
Right. So, I know that you've had you've done marketing stuff. I've done marketing stuff in the past, and there are things like people say, why do they charge $4.99 or something? Why don't they just say it's $5? Because it doesn't make any difference to me. And it's like, it does make a difference to them, and it's been proven over and over again. It's a thing. Your subconscious goes for the cheaper one, even if it's just a penny cheaper. Just stuff like that does work. I would love for stage hypnotism to be real, because I really like the idea of that. That just seems really cool. But every stage hypnotist that I have seen, nothing ever made me think, oh, he's the real deal. Some of it is they'll do something to prove that somebody is hypnotized, and it's like a physical thing. It's like a bar bet kind of thing, where you stand this way or something, and now you can't lift your foot. You can't lift your foot now, and they can't, because they'll fall over if they lift their foot. But that's not a hypnotized thing. That's putting somebody in a specific situation so that physics works. That's physics. It's not hypnosis. And I see hypnotists do stuff like that, and it's just like, you're a charlatan. I want it to be. I want it to be real. I want it to be real, but so far I haven't seen any proof that it is.
Okay, so two things. Number one, three things. One, I agree that if they set up the physicality of it so that they can't because they'll fall over, then they're like, oh, fuck it, I'll play along. I haven't seen that. I'm sure people do that. I'm not saying they don't. I would agree with you. That's chicanery, or that's shenanigans, get the brooms. Two, if Flip Orley comes to town again, you and I are going to go see him. Fair? Can we just... I won't say what other, but let's just go see Flip, because his show, not only is he hilarious, he does really good positive work with it. Everybody who gets hypnotized gets a really good positive suggestion. Sometimes it's funnier than others, but he's a good human being. And to me, that goes a long way with the believability, but we'll leave that for your interpretation, which leads me to 3. What would constitute proof for you? What would it take for you to say, okay, I believe? What do you need to see, experience, feel? Do you need to be hypnotized, have it on tape, and then play it back and go, oh shit, I would never do that, but I did, therefore, what is proof to you?
That would be the only thing that would be proof to me. I would have to be hypnotized and doing things that I wouldn't otherwise do.
Okay, so by definition, though, it's not that you would do something you wouldn't otherwise do, although there is that original, not the original study, but an old study that I guess the CIA did. They went through, have you heard of the one about the guy on the motorcycle?
I don't think so.
Apparently the CIA, with MK Ultra and all the stuff that they were doing, they were working on suggestibility. The theory of hypnosis, most practitioners will say, you're never going to do something you wouldn't otherwise do. Right. But susceptibility and suggestibility does have that range. They got some guy, they got a bunch of people and did suggestibility testing on them and narrowed it down to one guy to see if they could do the Manchurian Candidate kind of thing. And so they got one guy who was excruciatingly susceptible, and apparently he had a program that said, when you hear this or your phone rings, you get this message, you'll go get on the motorcycle, there'll be a gun, you'll take it, you'll go pull a full on CIA shenanigans. And if I'm not already on a watch list, I am now. Like, trust me. Oh, by the way, I apologize because being on this recording, you two are now on a watch list because of that. But they went full on to see how far it could go. And he went so far as to pull the trigger, which otherwise he wouldn't have. Like, we have to believe most rational, sane people, which he was. He had a real job, regular guy through and through, but he was just ultra suggestible, according to this experience and study, that they got him to go the full hidden assassin. I would argue that for most people in the bell curve, the middle section, yeah, you're not going to shoot somebody because you have your morals aren't completely gone. But this is the CIA. We don't know what they dosed him with to get that suggestibility, but they were able to get him. And there was apparently a bunch of a big cohort of people they started with. But you're saying you need proof for you. So it sounds like the only thing that would sway you is if something feels true to you. But you're saying in order for it to feel true, you would have to disprove something you believe. So how do we untangle the belief? How do we make room for it to be possible?
I'm pretty sure I'm sitting here racking my brain, trying to think of a situation where I would willingly pretend I was a ballerina on stage. And I can't think of that. So if somebody hypnotizes me and I'm a ballerina on stage, I'll believe that it's true.
Okay. You have balance issues. I want to protect you, and that's the thing. Is like your conscious mind is protecting you. That's you already admitting that if a hypnotist puts you in a physical situation that would put you in danger, then you're not going to do it. That's not fair. Ballerina is not fair and safe to you. So I gotta call shenanigans. What's another potential?
Singing I don't know, it's like well, I'm trying to think. It's like, if I'm hypnotized, should I be able to sing a song I don't know?
I would say, let me ask you this. I don't know. Like, I would imagine some people, you could hypnotists can make people create gibberish to a song they might know, like make up lyrics. Now, if you don't know something, my understanding of hypnosis is there's conscious and unconscious, sub, whatever. Right. It's pulling from that. If you say you don't know it, if it's not within you, I don't know how to. I would say that's probably not fair. But if it's something unconscious, if it's something you've heard once, or maybe, what if we say sing a song to a tune you know, but make up words that make no sense? Would you be willing to take that on as a challenge?
Yeah. So, yeah, right. I was also thinking, it's like, okay, so I know most of the words to something like Alice Cooper's Poison.
I was thinking Happy Birthday or something, but go ahead.
Right, but see, I could see myself sing Happy Birthday to somebody. Okay. Probably not. Probably wouldn't happen. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, that's hard. It's like, what am I going to do? Right. It's the whole physical thing. It's like, if somebody has me, long jump 7 feet. Well, I can't long jump 2 feet. So that's not fair.
What about sticking your hand to a like your body that you can't let go of, maybe a chair or something? Would you do that? Or let go, you'll be sitting in your chair and you're holding maybe a cane or something that in the middle that you can't let go of while you're sitting safely. I want to keep you safe. I don't want to put you in a situation that endangers you, that therefore you can go, well, see, that would put me in danger. Therefore my mind and body were resisting. Therefore I wasn't hypnotized. What about
So-
forgetting? What about forgetting your name?
No, because see, I think you can do that to people without hypnotizing them.
How do you get somebody to forget their name if they're not hypnotized? Explain that to me.
I'm not sure exactly how, but I know it can be done.
But that would be the definition of hypnosis.
I'll have to get back to you on that.
We're here now.
No, so somebody at some point, and I don't remember the exact situation, but they asked me a question, and the way that they asked it made me have to figure out what they were actually asking. And he used that as an example of see, I made you forget how to answer this question or whatever. But it was
linguistical bullshit aside. I get you. Yeah, that's not hypnosis. That's bullshittery. I will grant you that. I have no problem with it. I like to play the linguistic games with people on occasion, and I certainly like to defend against it. So I'm not saying, but what I'm saying is I'm going to implant a suggestion. First of all, tell us your name. This is what I would envision the sequence to be. What is your name?
Okay. Jay.
Jay. And how long has your name been Jay?
Forever.
50 plus years, yes?
Yes, 50 plus years.
Do you have memory issues that you know about?
Not really. As much as any 50 plus year old person does.
Fair enough. Okay, but I mean nothing specific that would cause you.
No.
Have you ever been able to not identify your own name?
No.
Okay, so I'm going to implant a suggestion, and I'm not going to do this now, but this would be the sequence. I'm going to implant a suggestion that you, when asked your name, you're going to come up blank. You're not going to remember your name. The word Jay is going to have no meaning, even if somebody says it. Until I snap my fingers next to your ear, the word Jay will be completely gone from your mind, body, and soul. Okay? So hypnosis happens. They put you under. You go through. He touches your shoulder. You get the suggestion that you don't know Jay. If we get a recording of them going, and what's your name? And you come up with blank, and you don't come up with Jay within a matter of, we'll say 2 or 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3, like you would know your name. Jay. Even if then we get him to go, Jay, come on, you know your name, right? And you hear it. I mean, it's said. Let me rephrase. It's said, but you still go, I don't know. I've got nothing. And then he snaps. You go, my name is Jay. If you have an experience like that recorded, would you then concede? Is that a fair test of this? Okay, you got to say something.
Yes. Yeah.
There was a finger up, by the way.
There was a thumb, not a finger.
Okay.
The finger after the camera's off.
Yeah, and I appreciate your stance, because the place from which somebody comes that says, I don't believe in that, it makes sense that it's tricky if you don't believe. So there's got to be a very specific and distinct crossover to get into belief. Like a lot of the work that Alicia and I do is based in people's belief systems, because it's cognitive behavioral therapy at its core. What do we believe? What's good? What's bad? It's just the labels we use to it. So, and the challenge I have with you specifically is you'll accept it on the medical, but not on the entertainment. And I just think it's just a spectrum. So I think it's all there. And yeah, some people play along more than others, but, and I will say this. I've been in Flip's audience, like I said, at least a dozen times. I've been to other hypnosis shows. I desperately want to be one of those people. I want to play along. And so just as a counterpoint, I've never been able to get there. I've always remembered my name. I always know that I have another, it's like a 6 degrees of separation. It's not really a name drop, but we went to go see Flip one time, and we took a family friend. I've known him for years. He's my brother's friend in high school, and we've been together. His dad was a hypnotist. His dad's best friend was Lance Burton's manager. So like this guy would we're all in the same field to a degree, right? And My buddy's name is Neil. And we were up in the balcony. And we're watching the show. And Flip did the thing where if you're wearing a watch, when I snap my fingers or do whatever, I touch my forehead, your watch is going to start talking to you. And it's going to be weird and freak you out, whatever. So that's the thing he did. And we're sitting there and I'm watching the show and Flip touches his head and people on the stage freak out because of their watch. And the guy next to me, Neil, jumps and freaks. I'm like, dude, what? And he's like, he takes his watch off and gives me, he's like, get this the fuck away from me. I was like, I didn't know he was under. Like out of nowhere, this happened. So I take it and put it away. And the show goes on. Nothing else. Like he's otherwise normal. At the end of the show, he's waiting. Like he doesn't even know his watch. Now he knows I'm a magician, but I talked to him and his dad. His dad actually was a student of Slidini too. We'll get back to that. But like at the end of the show, we're getting ready to walk out. I'm like, oh, hey, Neil, by the way, you want to see a magic trick? He goes, oh, okay. And I pull his watch out of my pocket and he goes, Jesus Christ, that was like he had no recollection that he took it off and gave it to me. Again, just anecdotal, but I was like, what the fuck is happening? Like the guy sat next to me the whole time. Like I have just seen people have experiences counter that what you say you've never seen. So we got to go see Flip, but B, maybe I'll pay for a session or two with Bill because he's close and he's a buddy. I get your point that if you haven't seen it, you haven't experienced it, it's hard to believe. But
right, and I've seen it, and that's why I don't believe it. I haven't experienced it though. It's like every yeah, I just don't think it's real, and I would like it to be real because it seems really cool. That would just be awesome.
Well, have you ever practiced it? Let me ask you, have you ever tried it? Have you ever practiced the art?
No.
Have you studied it?
No. I know I probably know more about it than the average person on the street,
Sure.
just because of I'm hypnosis adjacent. So
that's the title of this episode. I love it.
But no, I've never tried it. Never really studied it as far as how to do it.
I guess my question to you then now is, are you willing to, and like we sometimes meet up in person and talk card tricks and magic and other stuff. What if we were to shift that subject to suggestibility and play around with that? Like you and I both know, like you do a lot of mentalism, and now hopefully I'm not bursting anybody's bubble, but almost everything in the realm of mentalism from a performance standpoint can be done via trickery. But there are things that we rely on human nature that we can take advantage of. Like, you do a coffee prediction when you open some of your shows. Like you use a form of hypnosis in that. You use suggestibility. You offer 3 drinks, one of which is known. And people then, you're suggesting to the unconscious mind, pick the thing, I don't know what a double hurricane is or whatever maybe I do. Shit.
Double torture.
Double torture. Dutch Brothers. But a caramel macchiato or whatever your drink of choice is. That you use that because that's the most obvious choice. Like that's a form of suggestion. You're asking them to name a coffee drink because they know about coffee. They know about the different coffee chains. They may not know in general, but every coffee chain has a caramel macchiato. Not all of them have the double torture. So even if they don't know Dutch, they know Starbucks or they know Joe's Crab Shack or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's a form of it on a very minor scale. And we can use those things in our magical arts to some or degree. And that's where the art comes in. That's a whole nother conversation. But don't you recognize that that's a form of suggestion?
Yes, but it's so minor that it's not the same as sleep.
It's minor. Does that make it real, but just not as awesome as you hope
It
it to.
doesn't. No, it doesn't make it hypnosis. I'm not hypnotizing them. I'm not hypnotizing them. I'm giving them three options, and one of them is naturally going to be chosen more than the others. That's not hypnosis.
Okay, what would hit, like, I disagree. Like, I just fundamentally disagree. You're doing a lot more than just giving them three choices. You're setting the stage. You're actually engaging their unconscious and conscious mind at the same time. Consciously, you're saying, I'm a showman. I'm going to do a trick. I got something in the bag. Unconsciously, with naming off the different drinks, you're tapping into the vast database of their experience with coffee shops and different drinks and everything else that's ever hardwired or softwired to those drinks throughout their entire life. That's like the fundamental nature of hypnosis, is using the conscious verbiage and experience to tap into the unconscious stuff to give you a more of a direction that they don't know about. Granted, that's on a very small scale, but people who practice the art, if you practice this, you could probably get caramel macchiato 90% of the time without any other hassle. You wouldn't need the other tools, which I won't go into. Like, that's actually, like, that's a really good example of what hypnosis is I'm going to say this stuff, but I know all this other stuff is at the bottom, and I'm going to count on that to a degree. Now, as magicians, we have outs, but it's so much simpler to leverage the things that we know that they aren't aware of. It's the fundamental.
It is froze.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think the magical gods just kicked my butt. I said it's like an equivocate. I'm going to destroy something. It's the magician's choice. Pick two objects and then hand me one. Either the one they're left with is the choice, or the one they give me is a choice. It's how I frame it after the fact. That's a form of hypnosis, because I'm suggesting, when I do my equivocate, I talk about the idea of, we're going to play a game of elimination. That's how I start it. They don't know what that means, but I'm planting the word elimination, and now I'm going to do things, and who knows what I'm going to do? I don't know what I'm going to do until they make a choice, but I equate their choice to something else, and then their unconscious goes, oh, yeah, that's cool. I'm with that. Yeah, I wanted to eliminate that. The last meeting we went to, I had somebody, he picked up a card, and luckily it was the one, like, I knew which card it was, so I said, oh, you want to eliminate that? And he was like, yeah. Like, he said yes, you all heard yes, but in his mind, he was like, I don't give a fuck. He had no idea what was happening. It wasn't a true conscious yes. He just said yes to go along with it. Was that hypnosis? It was suggestion. Maybe hypnosis to you needs to tip a certain scale.
Yes. And I don't know where that is, but the stuff that you've been talking about, I don't personally don't consider it hypnosis.
Would you consider it suggestion?
Yes. Yes. I gotta rethink. Yeah. I don't. That. Okay. So like my coffee trick, suggestion doesn't feel like the right definition for what I'm doing there. Yeah. I'm just trying to think of what it would be other than suggestion, but I don't think it's suggestion.
Well, okay, so I kind of mentioned it before, and I just pulled up Cialdini's book called Influence. I studied under his grad students in college, right? Like, that was one of the coolest things. I didn't know how cool it was at the time. I'm like, oh, these fucking guys. But I had access to some really intense, cool stuff, retroactively knowing that. When you talk about suggestion versus like an influence, the idea that we're talking to them consciously, but stuff is happening underneath that we're not conscious of. It's a really great example is you've had a long day at work, you get in your car, you get to start going home, and all of a sudden you find yourself in your driveway or your parking spot, and you're like, fuck, I have no recollection of that past.
I hope I didn't run over anybody.
Yeah, what shit did I hit? But you got home safely. There's no crimes committed, as far as you know, we hope.
Right.
But your unconscious took over because your conscious mind was in part somewhere else. Now, it was still filtering traffic and the law, hopefully. I'm assuming you're a good driver. I know I am not. I am. Although I got a ticket in the mail. Again, I got a warrant for my ticket. Because my son's name is the same as mine. So anyways, we won't go there. But that kind of aspect, and again, this goes to, like, there's scientific evidence that says when suggestion is at a certain point, and this could be your point, like there's a certain layer that it has to hit. They use it for pain management. They use it for, they've actually done it both ways. They've used it to lower pain, and they've used just toy lasers to induce pain. Like they've done it both sides. There's studies that you can make pain happen with suggestion and remove pain with suggestion. Like the placebo effect in itself shows that there's something that happens under the surface of our conscious moment-to-moment thinking that we have, unless we explore it, and that's the reason I brought the book out, is once I figured out that I was dealing with masters of the trade, I started exploring this, which is why I started drinking. I mean, tonight, not overall. But there's so much, not just anecdotal, but scientific, like social scientific evidence on how it works. And if we adhere to the scientific method as the foundation of science, these are repeatable. These are clean, honest to God studies that can be repeated by peers that reproduce the same results. That's what we account for science.
Okay.
What part of that do you dispute?
I've read Influence. I've read Influence more than once. Awesome book. You read some stuff in there, and this is like, no, this can't be right. And then it's like you try something like it, and it's like, oh, I guess it is right. It's not hypnosis. So those two are still apart from each other.
Are you stuck on labels, or are you stuck on
maybe
function? Is it what's the difference between, wearing a white coat and having people listen to you versus telling somebody their hand is stuck to the can is stuck to the table? Is it function or is it label?
I think it's function. I don't think it's a label. So it's like, I think it Influence, or might have been one of those other books, but he talks about somebody who goes up, people waiting for a copy machine, and they go up and they say, oh, can I butt in here in front of you because I need to make some copies. And by giving a reason, even though it's a stupid reason, because everybody there is to make copies, many more people allow them to, yeah, sure, go ahead. But that's different than when somebody pushes the copy button, the guy says, your finger is glued to that button, you can't pull it away.
Yes, I would agree with you that those are different, but let's talk about the study. By the way, I did a video on this, the word because, about 3 weeks ago. Link below. I'm very familiar with that study. It was done at Stanford, and I don't remember her name. I can look it up. But again, the link is below. But it was 3 cases. One was, can I cut in front of you because I'm late for class? 96% said, okay, go ahead. The what's the word, or the baseline, the control. Thank you. I don't know why I couldn't come up with that. Touch my brain. Now, my name's Tank. The control was, can I cut in front of you? I'm late for class. Like 64%. But can I cut in front of you because I need to make copies was 94% compliance. So 2/3 said yes, because I need to make copy, or I need to make copies. But when you add the word because in the two real reason, because I need to make copy, or because I'm late, and because I need to make copies, no shit, we all need to make copies. It was statistically not different. 94, 96% within the
Right.
realm of difference versus like the 64, 68%, whatever it was, compliance. You're right. The reason, valid or otherwise, created compliance. But we're not taught, like when you say, but your finger is stuck to the button, yeah, that's a whole separate thing. Yeah, I would agree. But if you had a case scenario where you tried to hypnotize people to stick a finger, we can create 3 scenarios where we do an induction, where we do a fake induction, and we do no induction. Like that would be the scientific method to test that. If you're just talking about that, the word because triggered something in people at an unconscious level. Because if somebody goes, can I cut because I need to make copies? My reaction, because I know the studies, fuck yourself, get at the end of the line. But that's just because I'm aware of it. When I'm not aware of it, I would act just as those who were in the study, my guess, right?
Sure.
If we stay within the realm of that, all we're doing is talking about accessing a pathway, a neurological pathway at an unconscious level. If my finger gets stuck to a button because you've said some words and I don't really want my finger stuck to the button, and yet I feel like it is, you've achieved the same result. It's the same it's the same output, just in different form.
Okay. So you take somebody up and there's a pencil and you say, pick that up over your head. And they pick it up over their head. And then you take them up to a big oak tree log laying there and you say, pick that up over your head. They can't do it. That's the difference.
But that's your point. That's your point about creating an unwritten, like those aren't similar. That's not scientifically valid, because if you say pick it up over your head, but now you tell them it's a log, is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not. I had I was going to explain the analogy, but I'm not sure if I can remember what my explanation is going to be.
Oh,
so
sorry if I interrupted. I apologize.
No. It's the difference between it's one of degrees. They can lift the log. I mean, they can lift the pencil. They can't lift the log, but it's all lifting something. Okay, so the things that we can do are the lifting the pencil thing. The things that hypnotists are doing on stage, those are log things, and that's why I don't believe they're happening. So it's this big degree thing, and the suggestibility and things like that are way over on the pencil side, and the sleep, dance like a ballerina, are over on the oak log side. So yeah, they're the same thing, but they're really far apart. And at some point, it's not like you can go from the pencil and get over to here. There's a gorge in the middle. There's a chasm in the middle that you come to, and that's as far as you can go with the pencil.
Okay, but are you familiar, and do you accept that there are cases in history that people have exhibited super strength in terms of crises, whether it's an adrenaline rush, like mom picks a baby because mom picks up a car because it's ran over its baby. Like that's
I've heard those things. Yes.
Right. Like mysteries of the unknown. Like I think I get your point, saying stage hypnotists are asking for an impossible. Therefore, you have to play along with whatever they say if you don't want to lose face. It's a lack of embarrassment or some other emotional reasoning. People go, well, fuck it, I might as well. You're saying there's a conscious choice to play along, and that's all it is.
That's what I believe. Yes, I believe there's a contract between the two of them. There's this social contract. You're going to hypnotize me, wink, wink, and I'm going to be hypnotized, wink, wink, and it's going to be so much fun.
Okay, I might have a great analogy or a great circumstance. I might be able to break this, and I'll give you a chance. We talked earlier about doing sometimes we do disclaimers, sometimes we don't. We have a debate about whether we shouldn't use a disclaimer. One of the most common disclaimers is, for those that believe, no explanation is necessary. For those that don't, none will suffice. I don't know if that was Max Maven or Matt King, some M motherfucker.
Somebody famous.
Somebody important, right?
Somebody famous in our industry, yeah.
Right. The idea that you and I have both had the experience multiple times where we do one of the most basic tricks, my self-working card trick book, right? Carl Folds, genius, self-working card tricks. We do the simplest of things and people act like we performed a miracle. In their heart of hearts, they now believe in magic, at least for a moment. You read their mind, you do something, you do some like whatever it is you do, and you do a reveal and people are stunned. They're shocked. They cannot fathom a world that they now exist because you did what you did. You had those experiences, right?
Yeah.
In their mind, their experience is not what we did. Fair? Because what we did, if they knew what we did, they'd be like,
yes,
it was the card on the top of the fuck. But their perception of it, and now this came up because you said social contract. There was at least a slight unconscious bit that said, I'm going to give in to this magic show. Most people go to a magic show, and this is, again, just my stance, that they think, I'm going to go for a show. Yeah, if he fools me, I'll figure it out. I'm smarter than the average bear. Most people think they're smarter than the average. But when they have that moment of wonder and it hits them in the teeth, like, there's no effing way that happened.
Right.
Experience something. That's a form of suggestion, which I think is the same thing. To me, it's a word difference. It's I made you believe something that's not true.
Right. Okay, so I guess it's like you do the greatest magic show in the world, but the thing is, all of your helpers were stooges. The guy who came up and picked the card said it was the 4 of clubs because that's what you guys agreed on ahead of time. And you do this entire great show, and everybody you used was a stooge. Everybody was in on it. The rest of the audience wasn't. So from the audience standpoint, you are a miracle worker. But you could argue in that case, magic is not real. Now, the magic you didn't do wasn't real because you didn't do anything. And that's what I think about the hypnosis things. I think the hypnotist didn't do anything other than say, pick a card. His version of pick a card. Now, when Flip Orley comes to town again,
I'm going to look him up shortly.
Maybe I'll have to come back on your show and say, "Oh, you know that thing? I was kidding. I was just making all that up."
Dude, that's what my buddy said, because the suggestion that his name is Wayne, he got up on stage, he was up there for half the show, and then Flip gave him the suggestion, go back to your seat safely, but on the way, you're going to be like the world's worst mime and fighting the most strongest gale winds all the way back, grabbing onto chairs and getting help along the, and full on. This guy was the worst, most hilarious mime, and he was going through like the wind, and I'm just staring at him from the stage back to the table. And the suggestion was, and as soon as your butt hits the chair, all other suggestions will be erased. That's what Flip told him. And he's coming back, and he's like against the wind and just hardcore. And he turns and plants his butt, and as soon as he sat down, it went, it's all bullshit. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, that I was just playing along. I'm like, well, what about that time? And I asked him about a specific thing. Like, you said you couldn't remember your name. And he's like, oh, I was just playing along. He didn't have a conscious memory of the one specific instance, which to me, just from my scientific mind, was the suggestion, as soon as your butt hits the chair, you're going to be clear of all suggestions. But that that was fine. And I could see, to your point, if he was just playing along. But then when I questioned him, he could barely recall being on stage, forgetting his name or whatever that one part of the show was. And he was like, oh, yeah, no. Like, it was like comical. So to that end, I'll say this piece and I'll give you the floor for the final bit, which I appreciate you being willing to go see Flip. I'm reminded of what Terence McKenna says, which is there's only two real things in this world. The felt presence of immediate experience, otherwise known as feelings, human feelings, felt presence of immediate experience, and math. Those are the only two reliable things. You can count on your feelings, and we can count on math, meaning in his realm, I take that to mean science, as we know it with the scientific method. So you don't have it. You don't have a belief in hypnosis because you don't have the felt presence of the immediate experience. I understand that. I will seek Flip, and if not Flip, Bill or somebody, and see if we can't get on video you saying what you say you won't do, which is singing or forgetting your name, right? Okay.
Yeah, forgetting my name. That's easy. That's easier.
Fair
and
enough.
just in case it actually works, less embarrassing.
But see, that's the thing is, if it's embarrassing to you, that means you're less likely to do it. I give two shits. I've done karaoke. I don't care. I'm much more likely under hypnosis to sing, I would imagine. Just because I'm like, la, 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 I don't care. So to your point, we do have limits, but I don't think they're as strict as you think. So by the way, take it away for the final word. I'll be quiet.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have experience with hypnosis. I've seen hypnosis. I've seen hypnosis live, hypnosis shows, live. Yeah, lots of these. Even when I wasn't doing it, lots of those in there. I've seen enough stuff of them doing things that is like, I know that's not hypnosis, and they're calling it hypnosis to make me think that the rest of it's put on also. I just the whole grab somebody and jerk their head down and command them to sleep thing. It's like, no, they're not asleep. I just don't believe that. But I could be wrong. And I don't think I am. We'll see. I'm willing to use the scientific method to say I'm willing to do an experiment and see if there's anything there.
I very much appreciate your willingness to participate in the scientific method around this, because that's a bold stance. Like, if you firmly believe what you believe, but say I'm willing to have experience, like, that's how change happens. And I'm not saying it will, but I appreciate your willingness, dude. Thank you very much. And I appreciate your time here. I think this was a great conversation.
Thank you. It was fun. And I knew that I didn't really have a leg to stand on. But it's what I believe, and I'm sure there are other people who believe the same as I do, that it's just all a bunch of hooey. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't.
My notes from ChatGPT say otherwise, but that's okay.
Yeah, I talked to Chat too, and he's a liar.
I love it.